anything
Yeah.
new come up. If not,
Nope.
all right.
Cool. All right. So now we got this to do. Let me see if I do this. Okay. Cool.
All right, cool.
So do you have
Yeah, let me just find because I
Yeah.
have to go through two
This is
different
definitely
ones.
Astronaut. The one drop.
Where are you? Oh, there it is. Yeah, the flesh mechanic. So, 1/1 death touch. Whenever it attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, create a tap Power Stone token. 5 mana, exile a creature card from your graveyard. You get a tap 3 colors zombie artifact creature token. Seems like a lot of work for just like,
It only sacks on attack,
yeah.
and then
It is a
the
1/1 death touch, but like,
and then it's
it
wait. So hold
make
on. It just exiles something to make a what again? A power stone, like a
yeah. So when you sack it, you get a tap Power Stone token, and then for 5 mana, you can exile a creature from your graveyard and get a 3/3 colorless zombie creature artifact token.
It's not even like a copy of it. It's just a token.
Yeah, it's just a 3/3.
It's that. Okay, so having a sack outlet as a commander and getting to make tokens is probably fine. It's probably not a D.
But it only sacks on attack, and it's
Yeah,
still only a 1/1.
I
I think
mean,
it's just going to be left alone. I guess Death Touch no is going to block it. It's not going to do a ton of damage.
uh huh.
So at most, you're just like, and at worst, you could always sack the tokens that you make, and you just keep. Well, yeah, I guess it can do is slowly generate lots of mana, but it's only mana for activated abilities or artifacts.
Right,
So
which
like,
is its effect, and you could build around that. Like well, it's not activated abilities of artifacts, Derek. It's anything.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Activated abilities or
Oh,
artifacts.
or artifacts. You said okay, all right. Yeah, you're right. Yes.
That's why it's probably has such a high activation cost of 5 because you're like, in theory, you've probably made 2 Power Stone tokens, so you're
Right.
already generating like 4 mana.
And being a one drop does give a little bit of a case because it gets going pretty quick. So I mean, I don't know. I'm thinking either B or C.
I wouldn't even go B. I'd go C.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't like. I
Like
think
top
it's
of
just too
C.
much.
Yeah.
It's too much. It's too much effort to get it to like really do anything. It takes a long time for it to get going, and when you do get it going, you're also having to exile the creature from your graveyard. So
Yeah,
you're also
that's I don't
removing.
yeah, I don't like commanders like that. Unless it's like the Locust God where, it makes a copy of it and you can do it at instant speed like and even that I'm not a huge fan of that commander playstyle of having to use my resources cuz once it's gone, once it gets board wiped, it's done. All right. This is one of the commanders.
So this is the Ashdod the Carry. Excuse me. So another 1/4 Death Touch in Grixis colors, and it's whenever you activate an ability of an artifact or a creature that isn't a mana ability. If one or more permanents were sacrificed to activate it, you may copy that
Oh,
ability.
it's this one.
You choose your targets for it.
This one's good.
So I think there's some really cool things in it. Like if you have stuff like it says whenever an activated artifact.
Works with clues, works with food,
Uh,
works with things like that have activated abilities that say like sack an artifact, draw a card. Which, believe it or not, there's a lot of them in those colors.
it makes stuff like Goblin Engineer real good because you have to copy it.
Also, all the Maguses work with it. So like, there's some stuff in these colors you can do. You want to know where it's really crazy? You know all
It
the zero
copy,
drop. You know all the zero
oh,
drops that like sack themselves to draw.
yeah.
You get to double draw. So like Mishra's Bauble double draws for 0.
Oh, that's actually cool too. Thinking about it too. It makes Bolus's Citadel hit twice.
Yeah, the bottom part. Yeah, that's kind of funny actually.
It makes Salty Voidwalker like you cast 2 of the things.
Yep. There's a lot of really good stuff. Like I said, the Maguses are kind of cool because they sack themselves.
It makes Arkham Daxon happen twice.
Yep. If you go that direction of like artifact spam, which I mean you're probably gonna play a lot of artifacts. And there's a good amount of ways to make clues in these colors, so it's Grixis, right?
Yeah, Time also sacrifices something, Razaketh, which then copies the ability.
Also, all like Derek, you want to know what this commander would be great as? I think we're not thinking like a full. This is probably an amazing eggs commander, right?
Yeah, that's probably what you would do with all the artifacts, because then you get
But
the
but
slam.
but but the problem is you'd have to play the ones that have activated abilities to sack themselves like Chromatic Star. You can't just like play the what's the 2-drop that when it enters it draws and then when it dies it draws? You have to have the ones that have activated abilities like Relic of Progenitus, you know?
Or
Like
like Mind
those.
Stone or Commander
Yeah, Mind
Sphere.
Stone, Commander Sphere, Hedron Archive, like oh my god, Hedron Archive.
It makes Wayfarer's Bauble, Burnished Heart look real good too, because they're
Yeah.
artifact stacking that aren't mana
Yeah, like I
related.
said, Mishra's Bobble, like there's actually a lot of 0-draw baubles that sack and draw. Believe it or not,
Yeah.
but people don't play them. One of them like looks at someone's hand, one looks at the top, which is the one that they play in
So Tom,
Modern
when
Legacy.
Scrap Trawler is in 47% of the list, that gives you an
Yeah.
idea what
Yeah,
it's doing.
no shit.
And
I,
then you get to pair it with a Marionette Master and a Mayhem Devil,
uh-huh.
and then have fun.
I think this is an A or S for me.
Yeah, I definitely would say it's definitely an A.
Yeah. Because the problem is, a lot of the like really good artifact stuff like is die trigger related, and it doesn't just flat work with that. So like you
Yeah.
have to do a little bit of wiggling around some of like the slower cards, you know, that like have sack abilities, and you are technically losing value to regain value because you're playing something and having to sack, so everything is going -1, and then you're plussing off of what you're doing, you know. So I wouldn't say it's an S tier commander, but definitely like the top of A.
Yeah, but really solid. I like her.
Yeah, and fun. Probably a lot of fun. Like th- there's a lot of like aristocrat tribal commanders, but this one in particular is forcing you to think out of the box, and you have to play like these weird cards that you wouldn't normally play, you know?
What I like it's doing is that it's taking one particular effect, which is like activated abilities from sacrificing. So basically, it's Sac Harmonicon,
Hmm.
but for very specific things. But I kind of like it when they're less generic and they're more specific, because it makes the creative process of running, and you get to run some cards. Like you just run a Panharmonicon, okay, that's like so generic. But if it said if a creature entering the battlefield caused the ability to trigger happens again, well now like you're running a creature based deck, and now you get to run around with more things potentially. Or if you had one that says whenever like an enchantment enters the battlefield, copy an ability. So now you're like your enchantress stuff gets better, and now because they're specific, you get to have a little bit more fun building around effects like that. And I think that's something I would like to see more happen, where like they're less generic and more specific, but not so specific that it's just like, oh my god,
Bad.
I can't play
Well,
this.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, where it's like what was that one tribal where we're like archers or whatever? We're
yeah,
like, oh my god, just fucking shoot us. No pun intended.
yeah. I'm looking at all the archers, like, cool. There's one good one. The rest suck. All right. Speaking of suck, let's look at this next dude, Drafna, founder of Latnam. He's 2-1. He's 2 to return a target artifact you control to its owner's hand, and then for 3 mana, you can tap and copy target artifact spell you control. It's actually not terrible. I
No,
mean, it's so
this guy's great. 3 to copy something in a mono blue deck with a billion ways to untap him.
it's interesting is what you could do is if you have like a big mana rock, you can return it to your hand and then cast it again and make a copy of it, then return the original to your hand, then recast it and make another copy
No,
of it.
he's cracked. He's
That's
cracked.
kind of that's kind of nifty.
And like if you have like a Gilded Lotus and mana reducers, like he can almost go infinite with just a mana rock that costs less.
Or if you
So
have a
like
training ground.
let's say you have like a mana rock that taps for like let's say you have Gilded Lotus and you've accumulated enough to make it cost less. Like or yeah, like a good way to keep untapping him, or like, you know, because there's a lot of ways to untap him in these colors. A lot of creatures too, like a lot of blue creatures untap things. So
Yeah, it's funny. There's a funny little blue creature that's whenever you cast an artifact spell, you may untap target creature.
there's also Chakram Retriever, right? That's in these colors.
Yeah, because it's blue.
I think Chakram.
Is he?
I think he's blue, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever you cast a spell during your turn, untap target creature. Seems good to me with this, where you just keep bouncing something. Do you know how easy it is to probably form loops with 0-drops? Like, oh, I play like a Mox Opal and a Soul Ring for free, and then I just get to bounce it and make a colorless with a Soul Ring. And then I have Chakra Retriever, and now I'm generating mana and making copies of something. Because this is not a tap ability, right? It's only
Uh,
2.
Yeah, it's 2 to return to your hand.
That's
It's
insane.
the 3 and it's 3 and tap is the
That's
copy.
kind of crazy because, like, okay, let's say you have an arcane signet, right? Because you know how easy it is in these colors to make things cost less, right?
Mhm.
So, like, you just play an arcane signet for free and like a soul ring or like a mana vault or whatever, and you're like, okay, now I'm gonna bounce the arcane signet back with the mana that it made, or like, let's say I have a soul ring and an arcane signet, I can make a copy of that, use like Chakram Retriever or something else to untap it. It seems kind of insane to me.
Yeah, he's probably very much like combo food.
The only thing is you need a payoff, but I mean, there's Walking Ballista, like easy payoffs in these colors, or you can pop everyone's permanents, whatever you want to do. Blue
Oh,
Sun Zenith.
I didn't even think about that. So say we have all the reductions right, we cast a
Yeah,
thought monitor for 1 blue, draw 2 cards, 1 blue, put them back into your hand,
this is what I'm
1 blue,
talking about. Yeah,
play them.
yeah, you just keep doing that. Like, or yeah, like else, or like what's the 2-drop we were just talking about that enters, you draw. That one's free.
Hmm.
Yeah, like the one that we were just the egg we were just talking about. The one that, and when it dies, it draws too. Like
Yeah, the
it's
Sphere of
crazy.
Stars.
It's crazy.
Okay,
It's
that's pretty nifty.
Yeah, I think he's SRA 100%. Because he's gonna combo like crazy. He's not the payoff per se. I mean, I guess he can be the payoff because he. Well, here's the thing though. He needs something to kill with, but his bottom effect with the right piece can make infinite of something. But you need something to do with it, and getting Walking Ballista in these colors is a joke. Like, there's
Getting
only a
artifacts in
billion
general,
fucking
yeah.
tutors. Like, or like Spine of Ishtar, whatever, whichever way you want to do it, right? And you're not even thinking about how crazy it gets when you start making copies of things. Because I've played against this where Mike had 3 mana reducers, right? And he played a 2-drop for free, tapped this to make a copy of it, and had it on tapper and was just like nutting out value.
Getting the SmackDown copies of Meteor Golem, bouncing Meteor
And
Golem.
imagine if you have like Mirrorworks, which is an easier way to make copies of things, and this can just keep bouncing the same thing. And they made a new blue Mirrorworks, right? There's a creature that does it now, right? For a blue and a colorless.
This is also probably just a good dramatic reversal deck too. Like if you're going dramatic
Yeah.
reversal shenanigans, you probably just
Oh
win
my
right
God,
there on the
yeah.
spot.
Somehow, right? I mean, you're gonna find a way, like an artifact that lets you draw, and you just keep making copies of it until you want to stop.
Or you do a combo with Nyx Lotus because you have infinite mana with Nyx Lotus, and you untap it and then return it to your hand and then cast it, make a copy of it, then
Also,
use dramatic
Unwinding
reversal.
Clock, like there's probably some funny shit you could do where you play Microsynth Lattice, and now he's an artifact, and now it's like mega brain dead to untap him with like an
That's cool.
Unwinding Clock.
One of the things people are making copies of are of Cloud Key because they just keep naming artifact creature and shit.
There you go, right there.
And just keep reducing its cost and keep making copies of Cloud Key.
That's crazy.
Because you just do Cloud Key until your artifacts cost 0. So
I
literally,
I
it's
think
free
that's
to play.
the only artifact that makes artifacts cost less. I think the rest of them are creatures. Oh no, one of the creatures is an artifact though.
It's Foundry Inspector's artifacts cost one less.
Oh, and
Droid's
and Foundry, yeah. Oh no, yeah, 3 of them are artifacts, yeah. And Judge's Familiar, yeah.
And Ethereum Sculptor's artifacts are one less to cast.
Wait, isn't there also Convoke or whatever? They have Convoke. There's one that gives Convoke, right?
Oh yeah, it's one of the. I know which one you're talking about. It's one of the.
I don't know. He sounds nuts to me, like storming like fucking crazy. And this is already a very established deck, and like, this is probably like an insane eggs commander. Like, getting to bounce eggs, that sounds crazy to me.
And then getting to redraw them, and if you have money,
and then you get to make, money. And then you get to make copies of them, dude. Like.
Mm-hmm.
But all right, S or A.
Right. I think A, just because he's not a payoff, he's more of an engine, and it does require a little bit of setup.
I agree, and I think he's a little bit better than this because this is like more established.
Because he's only as good as what you've drawn and what's in your hand and what your deck currently has in it. Like,
right.
He's not like Urza. He's not gonna like, okay, I can also, he's my engine and my payoff.
Yeah.
But or like Sai, because Sai is also a little bit of payoff too, because you get to
Sai is 100% an engine and a payoff because the sack like you're gonna make infinite 1/1s with Psy, so that's 100% an engine and a payoff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that yeah,
All right,
I could.
so let's look at this next dude. So Farid, Enterprising Salvager. So 3/3. Whenever a non-token artifact you control is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, you create a colorless artifact token named Scrap. 2 mana, sacrifice an artifact, choose one. Put a +1 counter on it against menacing on the turn. Go target creature, discard a card, then draw a card. Eh.
Yeah, I'm kind of
Whenever active artifact. So you only get Scrap if a artifact dies, and then his whole entire ability is based around sacrificing artifacts, which would give you Scrap, which you get to use again. But then his payoff is just like kind of makes him bigger and menace. You get the goading is I guess okay. It just seems okay. This is probably just like he's probably just like a bad what's his face? Duretti.
Yeah, Duretti's much better.
But you just want to sack artifacts and do things with them, but like I mean, artifacts are good on their own, but like as him as like a payoff engine for it just feels kind of meh.
This is Feldon, I think.
He's yep. Yeah, Feldon. Yep. So 2 mana, 2/2 with haste. He can't block. Whenever he's dealt damage, exile that many cards from the top of your library. Choose one of them until the end of your next turn. You may play that card.
Whenever he deals damage, or when he
no, whenever is dealt damage. So whenever he takes damage, he's only a 2/2.
Ugh.
So you can still take like 5 damage and like hit 5 deep to get something, but then like
I don't like.
Okay,
I hate commanders like this. The only one I think is good is Fire Song and Sunspeaker.
I know. I think I'd stick him in D.
Yeah, I think he's a D. I just hate commanders that have to deal damage to themselves. That's where Hans Eriksson, you remember him?
Yeah.
The guy, like, that was where he fell short. Like, his effect was sick, but having to deal damage to yourself, like, or it's like when he attacks and then the creature fights him or something, right? Like, it was something stupid like that. I'm like, so I have to recast it every time? Like, I get the theme, like, he wants to fight everything that comes out, I get it. But, like, I don't know, whatever. Not like I need to complain about green and red commanders, right? This guy, like, shooting blanks. Alright, this is Geth, and I don't like this commander.
Yeah, so whenever a creature deals combat damage to one of your opponents, its controller may pay 1 life. If they do, they draw a card. And for 4 mana, you discard X cards, exile top X cards. If target opponent's library, you may play lands and cast spells from among the exile cards this way without paying their mana costs.
So the effect is good, but the fact that it works for everybody, I hate it. Because the effect is actually too good for Commander. Paying 1 life to draw is godlike in Commander. And per creature. Is it per creature? How's it worded again?
Yeah, it's whenever a creature deals combat damage to one of your opponents, its controller may pay 1 life.
So it's per creature.
Yep.
Yeah, that is too much value for your opponents.
But they have to pay a lot of life. I'll pay all that life.
Yeah, dude, why do you think Yawgmoth's Bargain's banned? You want to Google that card really quick?
Yeah.
That's the unfair version of Necropons.
And I guess the Scar X cards, like the top X cards.
That's a fun effect. But the problem is the top part. If it was just you, this would be busted.
So I guess the way it wants it to work, right, is that you draw a lot of cards because you've hit your opponents for a lot, and then you decide to spend your entire turn spending 7 mana to discard like your whole hand and then steal that many cards from your opponent.
Well, let me ask you, like, is black really the best low-costed color for attacking your opponents? A lot of the creatures fall off really hard, because it does have, like, you could play shadow stuff and fear and, like, stuff like that, but, like, you're not dealing a lot of damage and you're drawing, so, like, you're going to be, like, an interacting deck, but you're also giving them value. And that means you're also attacking and leaving yourself open and losing a lot of life. Like, the whole concept, it doesn't, like, fit well together,
It's funny, literally the build that it's all 1/1s with shadow.
Yeah, just, like I said, exactly. And I think we don't like it because we don't like giving value, but I think it's fine. To
If you
me,
you slam a Shieldred and then you look at them like, go ahead, draw your cards.
yeah. So like it's there's ways to mitigate it, like Underworld Dreams. So
Yeah,
like
but then it feels like you're just playing like a Shieldred deck with a different commander that's not Shieldred.
that should just yeah.
It
So
should just be if
I'd
you want to win that way, play
so
Shieldred.
just based on the effect, he has to at least be a B, in
Yeah,
my
because
opinion.
you can in some instances I could see him like, okay, I'm going to discard, like if you have Necropotence, right? You're like, okay, I'm going to discard 30 cards and steal 30 cards from the top of your deck. Now it seems shit, but then that
Yeah.
player dies and or scoops the game, and now you just wasted all that energy and discard your whole hand, and now you have nothing.
Yeah, but even just thinking about the top effect, if it just wasn't, if it wasn't for everybody, I don't like sharing. You know?
Yeah, I agree. Make him cost 2 more mana and take away whenever in a player.
Yeah, I think that's
Fixed.
fair. I think that's fair. Oh, this commander's sweet. This commander's sweet.
Oh wait, yeah. And the thing is, it does say whenever a creature deals combat damage to one of your opponents, so they can't hit you. And I think that's probably why it has some value because in the in
Oh, I
standard,
know.
because they can't draw off of you.
Yeah. Like,
But
yeah. Which I explained to Mike that Belby works like that too, because he made Belby, the one that makes
Mhm.
colorless. And I'm like,
Yeah,
Belby can only make 4 for them. He's like, what are you talking about? It's everybody that loses life. I said, no, Belby's your card, and the way that she's worded is it says when your opponents take damage, and your card only knows them as the opponents.
yeah. You are not your own opponent.
Yeah.
Only
But
mentally.
they can damage themselves, right?
Well, yeah. I guess if they damage themselves, like an
If they
opponent
damage
lost.
themselves and their 2 opponents, right? That works the way she's worded.
I hate the reader. She's Golgari, right?
Yeah, I think the name is Belby.
At the beginning of each player's pre-combat main phase, that player adds 2 colors for each of your opponents who lost life this turn.
Your opponents, right? So that's his card.
Yeah, so if he gets hit, it doesn't trigger for that player.
No, but it's Mike's card, right?
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
Yeah. If Mike gets hit, yes. But what I'm saying is, if the opponent hurts themselves, then he can get 6, right?
Yep.
So if they like fetch a land and then hit both the players, that's 6.
Yep. So
Yeah.
you get fetch landing and get.
So it's not like you can't get 6. It's just a little harder because you have to bleed yourself.
Don't worry, we will bleed.
But all right, I like this commander. Let's talk about this one.
So the Gwenna Eyes of Gaia. So 3 mana, 2/3. Add 2 mana in any combination of colors. Spend this mana only to cast creature spells or activate abilities of creatures or creature card.
Mm-hmm.
Or creature. Wait. Spend this mana only to cast creature spells or activate abilities of a creature or creature card.
So like kicker? So like kicker or something? Is that what it's saying?
That's such a weird wording. Why did they add or creature card to the end of it? That seems really weird,
right? Hold on.
Is there?
I gotta use the bathroom really quick if you want to think about this, and you can read the bottom effect because I know what it does.
And then it's whenever you cast a creature spell with power 5 greater, put a +1 counter on it, and then untap it. Spend this mana only to cast creature spells or activate abilities of a creature or creature card. Why is it worded that way? I gotta look that up. Why not? That's just so weird to me. Okay. Look, I use the bathroom too.
I'm back. Hello, people. I guess Derek went to the bathroom. This is what we did last week. For anybody that didn't tune in last week, we did the legendary die triggers. Oh, he's back. Hello. So did you figure out why it's worded that way?
Yes, I did figure out why it's worded that way. Because it's trying to make sure that you can activate anything that's a creature. So if you have a god in play that's not a creature, you can't activate abilities of a creature because it's not a creature, but it is a creature card, even if it's an enchantment form because you haven't met its devotion. And so that's why it's worded that way, because it lets you use that mana to activate like
Mhm.
a god when it's not a creature yet.
And
So it's
what's
still
the
a creature card.
and what's the bottom effect again? It like untaps it, right? And
Yeah,
puts a
it
1/1
untaps
counter
it
on
and
it.
puts a +1 count on it, and you could go pseudo infinite if you have any type of creature reduction costs, or you have something that makes a tap for 2 mana, or you play like a Goreclaw and you run every 4 drop that has like power like a 5 or greater, which is a lot of them, and then you just like draw a bazillion cards on tap.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems pretty good. I mean, mono green crap out creatures. What do you
Yeah,
think?
this is just mono green draw play stuff. I'm just looking at like what people like good green things like it's gross.
What do you think it is though?
I definitely think this would maybe between like B and A. I
Hmm,
think I'm more leaning closer to A just because it has its
I
potential.
agree. The back of
It
A.
makes because it makes you play this on turn 3, right? Turn 4 you have 6 mana to play stuff with that are creature based.
That's a
And
lot.
Tom, what do you know about creature stuff? Right? They're really good.
This is facts. Have you read any Green Mythic in the past like 3 years?
In Silverback Elder, I still need to get a Silverback Elder. I
Elder
think
Gargaroth.
yeah.
What's the other thing we got? The Titan Sentinel? What was the thing that like
Oh, you mean the Titan of Industry?
yeah, that thing, yeah. That
Or
thing
then
was
you also get to run. Then you run like groups pack leader, Soul the Harvest,
hmm
um, Galta because it's probably free.
Yeah,
The gods are all have at least 5 power.
seems good.
Mere Superion because it's a 5/6 and it can only use mana from creatures to cast it.
That's funny. But yeah, no, it seems good. Green decks are stupid right now, so. Alright, what is this one?
That next one is let me find it because I have to recognize it by its art form because it cuts off the top. Hajar, loyal bodyguard. Hajar, loyal bodyguard. 2 mana, 3/3. You sacrifice it. Legendary creatures you control get +1/+0, gain indestructible at the end of the turn.
I'd say that's like a B.
Yeah, it's a
Cause
bard. It's a bard class legendary deck, and you run this as a way to protect your commanders. Or
which
your
is I
legendary.
mean, that's very important. And it's a 2 drop, right?
Yep.
Which is I mean, it seems good to me. And it all the random +1/+0 is nice. So like
No, yeah, I like it.
yeah, and we know how good legendaries are in these colors, so because we've made like just like rule good stuff. I'd say that that's like a strong B to me. What's this next one? This is the Soldier's Commander.
That next one is not there. So that's Harbin, Vanguard, Aviator. 2 mana, 3/2 with flying. When you attack with 5 or more soldiers, your creatures you control get +1/+1, gain flying to the end of the turn. So it's a soldier tribal deck in blue white, which I mean, there's decent soldier stuff.
Yeah, it misses out on red a lot, you know? So like Jeskai would be the like ideal colors. But I mean, there's a lot of good creature related blue stuff that you get to play. Like you get Kindred Discovery and all the like when this creature deals damage you get to draw. There's like some stuff to give flying, evasion, like there's buffs in white, like you get a Chroma's Will, you get counter spells. And a lot of the majority of the good soldiers are white, so I mean I could see it.
It's not bad. It's a tribal deck. We know
I think
all
it's a
tribes like,
yeah, or like at least a B.
and we still have enough Ram soldiers. We have Audrix for soldiers. We still have like preeminent captain and uh, field marshal and like all
Yep.
those old school stuff. They still exist.
Okay.
So next we have the blue gal or blue. Oh, it's Hercule. Hercule Master Wizard. So 3 mana for 2/4. At the beginning of your end step, if you've cast a non-creature spell this turn, reveal the top 5 cards of your library. For each card type among non-creature spells you cast this turn, you may put a card of that type from among the real cards into your hand. For the rest of, at the bottom of your library in a random order.
Did it say each end step or just yours?
Your end step.
Mm, this seems
So
better in like the 99.
yeah,
I don't find it like insane. Like it's not bad, but
I,
like it's not insane.
it still has that issue I think with it where like you want to play like a bunch of non-creature spells, which are like actually wait for each. It wants to go for card types is what it's really looking at. So like it's not really focusing on anything. So if you could play like so if you play like Planeswalker, a sorcery, an artifact, you end a turn, you look at the top three, and if you find any three of those, you get to keep each of them, which can be pretty cool. But then you're also playing a lot on your turn. It wants to play a lot on your turn, which is kind of a very not blue thing to do unless you've maybe built your deck around that, which maybe you're playing like a more on your turn control with like a bunch of bouncing and tapping and maybe some artifact shenanigans.
Which I mean, is never like the best.
Yeah, and it just feels like it really wants you to play a lot of things on your turn.
I think it's like a C.
And it's still only limited to like for each card type among non-creature spells you've cast this turn. So you cast three sorceries, it still only counts as one. Oh no, sorry, it's reveal the top five cards of your library, and so you get the so it always reveals the top five, and you just get to get whatever you casted from this turn from the top. It still really wants to play a bunch of stuff on your turn, and it's like kind of not what blue wants to do a lot of the time
It's like a
unless you're
C
like
or N to B for me.
you also get it at your end step. So it's weird, like you're adding these cards to your hand, which at the end of your turn, which seems really cool, but then you've used a lot of your mana on your turn.
And a lot of the stuff you're gonna play in your turn is gonna be like a planeswalker or like a mana rocker and enchantment, and like you're not gonna play them off your turn really, unless you have flash or something. So like I don't know, I just don't find it amazing. Do you think C or B?
Uh, I still think C because I still think it still draws you a bunch of cards potentially.
I said C or B.
Yeah, that's why I still think it's.
It's just slow draw.
I don't know if I'd still put in B though.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's like in middle ground. We probably have to see more what it could do. But like I'm just still imagining a world like I play this turn three, turn four. If I'm not playing like an instant, like if I'm just playing a spell slinger or just like a control deck, okay, maybe I'll play a mana rock. Then I go like top five. Do I hit a mana rock or an artifact? I get to add it to my hand. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Next turn. All right. I'm gonna leave mana open for a good counter spell because the board's getting clunky.
Right.
All right, now he didn't do anything for that turn.
Yeah. It just doesn't feel good.
Because blue's only real big strong way to defend itself is counter spells are the removal, and then like bounce spells to like clear the board.
Like it could get those, but then now I'm showing my opponent my interaction, and I have to cast an instant on my turn.
And yeah, and also like if you're showing your interactions all sorcery speed, now people are like much more comfortable with like, hey, you don't have anything on your turn. I mean, you could play instants on your turn and get like an instant.
Yeah, that's what I said. But then you're showing them, so like it's not the best.
And you do have to reveal.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You have to reveal everything so they know everything.
So they could play around the line. Like knowledge is a lot of power. Like sometimes games come down to like, hey, this is my card that I could win, but I see there's a blue player who hasn't played a lot of spells, he's got a lot of mana open. I'm not going to go for it yet because you don't know that maybe that blue player is bluffing that he's got like two counter spells in your hand, and you just want to play safe and not lose your win condition. But if you know every card is in their hand now, like okay, well now I know when it's safe to pop off, and that information can be really powerful, especially if you're a blue player and like again counters are your main form of interaction.
Mm-hmm. But all right, now we got the battle bot over here. I think
yeah, it's the weird head. Mm-hmm. It's ugly card, but I actually do like this. Liberator Urza's Battlethopter. Flash flying. You may cast colorless spells and artifact spells as though they had flash. And then whenever you cast a spell, if the amount of mana spent to cast a spell is greater than Urza's power, the Thopter's power, you put a +1 counter on it. And you know what's funny about that bottom effect? It doesn't say any. It says any spell. So any spell that has a higher mana value than it puts a counter on it.
Yeah. Kind of like it's just looking for anything. Not like you're going to cast a lot outside of a colorless deck,
Yeah, so you're probably just playing your standard like what was the other artifact commander, the big 7/7 with trample.
Oh, that untaps. Yeah.
Yeah, this is just another version of like it where you're just playing a different commander because you're probably not changing much in the main board.
Yeah, because I mean, like, there's some ETB like interaction with artifacts, but like, it's not the best.
But I will admit, getting to go instant speed Ulamog seems pretty sexy.
Yeah, but like,
I know it's still just kind of meh. It's just
I
because it probably could get really big really quickly too if you like.
I think it's a C.
But yeah, there's nothing crazy. You can probably have some fun builds with it, but like I would go crazy about it.
Flash is not great. I mean, I just don't. I like Flash is better in the 99. Like Flash as a mechanic is good, or like having all your stuff having Flash is good. But if your commander is doing that, I just don't find that very good.
I think that could be good for an artifact based deck, especially your creature based artifact deck, because it wants you. It lets you play everything off your turn, so they basically have
But
haste.
like,
No one knows
why do you need to do that though? Right?
because that way you don't have to go through a whole turn of people having ready interaction for what you have. They don't know what you're having. That just they assess what's on the board and deal with what's on
I guess.
the board before it gets to you, and then you're like, okay, right before my turn, I'm gonna flash in all my stuff, and people are like, oh well, crap, maybe I should have held on to my removal spell or interactions for that instead.
Yeah, I guess. It's
But
just
still,
you're
like
so
it doesn't really
limited.
change it too much because like then if they are just holding on to stuff, they're just holding on to stuff for threats anyway, and they know that it has flash, so they're probably gonna expect you to play. Like you're gonna go to your turn, you're gonna go past turn, and people are like, okay, he's got stuff in his hand. It's not in play yet, but and like it's just like it's a small advantage, but like it's not a crazy advantage.
Yeah. All right. This thing.
So yeah, Lauren, Disciple of History. Whenever whenever it or another legendary creature enters the battlefield under your control, return target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. So it's like, what's that other thing that's whenever you cast a historic spell, you return something CMC 3 or greater?
Oh,
It's like a worse
right.
version of that.
It is
It
much
is only
worse.
it is only an uncommon.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't like this card.
Where's it going? C.
So it's whenever it or you have to play a legendary creature, then it returns an artifact. So it's like it wants two different things. It wants you to play artifacts. It wants them in the graveyard for you to return them, but then it also wants you to play legendary creatures so that you can get them back. And so if you're playing a bunch of legendary creatures, how many of them are like related to artifacts? Not a lot of them. So you just play like good artifacts and then some good legendaries just because.
Seems kind of bad. Like counterintuitive. Like
Yeah, I
yeah.
guess like it's maybe like you use all the draw artifacts that you sacrifice them, and then you just play like white legendaries
If it
that come
just
into
said
play.
legendary card, it would be a lot better, I guess. But
I'm not crazy about it.
is it D or C? You think?
I think I think bottom. I would still say bottom of C because at least with like it is at least easy enough to do. Like you could just play all mana rocks that sack to draw cards and like artifact like sack to get lands, and then just play white legendary creatures. And like there's enough good white legendary creatures that like is like, okay, I'm gonna get these back now, but like you're also just sacking mana rocks.
And you're also playing white legendary creatures in an artifact deck.
We have gotten some new legendaries that deal with artifacts, though. There's been a bunch more.
Yeah.
And I guess you could also play Tashar in it, and it like that helps it even more. It puts it to your hand is the annoying part with her. Actually, no, it puts it into your hand. You have to replay them. Not the yeah. If I have to sack a Mind Stone, then play a legendary
Also,
after I went down a mana,
white is
just to
one of
get
the
my
worst
stuff.
colors for like combo artifacts decks. Like I
Yeah,
mean,
unless you're
Teshar is not a good example because Teshar's effect is so good, and you're basically just doing all colorless shit. And you could put that shell in a red blue deck, and it would be a billion times better.
yeah, you just play Tashar or Oswald as like your artifact combo
Yeah,
commanders.
white only has like one way to tutor like artifacts, and that's Enlightened Tutor, and that's it. So
And Oswald. Oswald's like your birthing pod
right,
for
right,
artifacts.
Oswald. Yeah, fiddle diddle.
And yeah, he's pretty combo-y.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
This
next,
is the new Mishra, I think.
I think you're right. Yeah, this is the one that fuses.
Yes, melds.
Yeah, melds. Yeah. So whenever you attack, each opponent loses X life, and you gain X life or X the number of attacking creatures. If Mishra, claimed by Grix, and a card named Phyrexian Dragon Engine are attacking, and you both own and control them, exile them and meld them into Mishra lost to Phyrexia. It enters tapped and attacking.
Do you want to read the dragon too?
Hey, oh yeah, let me open up it. So the Phyrexian Dragon, it's a 3-mana 2/2 double strike. When it enters the battlefield from when Phyrexian Dragon enters the battlefield from your graveyard, you may discard your hand. If you do, draw 3 cards, and it has Unearth for 5.
Mm-hmm.
And the fusion of them,
He's nuts.
Mitchell. Yeah, so it's the 9/9. So whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, you choose 3. Target opponent discards 2 cards. It deals 3 damage to any target. Destroy target artifact or planeswalker. Creatures you control gain menace and trample at the end of the turn. Creatures you don't control get -1/-1 at the end of the turn. Or create 2 tapped Power Stone tokens.
These are definitely the most powerful meld creatures we've ever gotten.
This is what it feels like they should have been. The other meld creatures, like all the melds felt so underwhelming.
Yeah. And so like I watched the game nights of this, and oh my god, it was wrecking people. Like the professor won, like he handled them. Like it wasn't even like a close win. It was a handling. And it was the first time that the Tolarian Academy professor has won a game of Magic like in a video, cuz he's never won a game of Magic in a video for his entire like YouTube career. Which is crazy to think about that, because I believe he's been a YouTuber for a really long time.
Yeah.
But he won with this commander, and he melded it like 4 turns in a row, because believe it or not, in these colors, it's really easy to get back.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. Like it's like you don't have to like get the unearth the dragon. You just reanimate it.
Also, haste is really easy to do in these colors.
Mhm.
Extra combats is really easy to do in these colors, which he had a Morag out. And
This seems like such a cool thing to just constantly.
It's so powerful. It's really good. The problem is you have to have haste out, because he's attacking the first time, but then he doesn't have haste if he gets an extra combat. So he has to have like a Lightning Greaves, or like, something that like gives haste, or like fervor. I mean, there's a lot of ways to do it in these colors. So also, it's a black deck, so getting the other piece is a joke. And then there's red ways to cheat in the other thing, because it's an artifact, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the engine's actually pretty good, just like as a card,
Yeah, it's like a low cost 4 damage.
Yeah, and this wants to be slapping, and black and red is good creatures to attack with. Like, you could play a Tali, Archon, like, just good attacking creatures that have value,
And
like,
stuff that helps you dig and find it too.
Yeah, there's like black creatures that draw cards when they attack, and then you're gaining all this life back so you can get aggressive. Like, and that random damage matters. He killed 2 people with it. And then remember, this kills you with commander very fast. So
yeah, because it's like 9 damage, and then you get like a bazillion different effects to go along with it.
Yeah, it's very powerful. I think it's A or S. What do you think? We have to consider it with the meld, because the games that I've seen it played, they got the meld off 3 to 4 times. And I've seen it played twice now.
You know what it kind of reminds me of? It's like the Mardu legendary creature that, well, it's like the one side's a creature, but the back side's the spell.
Yeah.
That you make those like
right.
And
yeah,
that
people
thing, like,
love that commander.
And that thing does so much damage. And
how much does that get played? People love that commander, right?
Yeah, people love that commander, and it's honestly no joke. Like, it comes in at and you're like, oh, well, I'll take a little bit of damage, and you're like, why am I almost dead?
Well, you remember what the spell part does, right? You can sack creatures to make it cost less.
Yeah, and you make so there are 3/6 black red avatar creature tokens with haste, and whenever it attacks, it deals 3 damage to each opponent.
Yeah, 3 damage to each opponent. That's a lot. That's 12 damage. No, not 12. 9 damage. But
Shit, and then you like
But like,
cast it again.
yeah, and you're in the colors that you can make copy. Like you have Anguished, you have Song of the World Soul now. You have really good ways to make tokens. You know, like you can play
And
stuff
so
that when they die they make tokens, and like it's very easy to just sack things and make the cost less.
and so
E-
that it kind of feels like the same type of deck where like like this deck wants you to get a lot of creatures in play, wipe like clear like kill creatures and then
And
play
to be
things that
honest,
deal damage.
I think Mishra's a little better than that because
Yeah, no,
because
I
like
agree.
because the damage in the life gain means you get more aggressive. And I saw the games that they played is so easy to get the battle bot back. Like they were playing like the goblin thing that can sack something to like replay something, and then they were also playing Phyrexian Reclamation. Like black just has too many good ways to just keep melding. So like A or S, what do you think?
He's either bottom of S or top of A. You know what? I think I'm gonna say it's gonna be top of S just because the recursion ability to constantly get that flip side, and I think you could get enough value out of that flip side to close out the game and win really quickly.
Yeah, even if like the first, because it's worded so perfectly, because the first time it comes in, like so it gets its effect the first time it comes in because the enter the battlefield part. And also the best part about meld is when it gets removed, the pieces go to the graveyard or to the command zone. So you could just keep doing it. You don't have to unearth it. But if you have to unearth it, like you have the option, and then it has haste, so you get to attack with both. Like they set each other up perfectly. And in these colors, it's brain dead to put creatures in the graveyard. Like black
And
is so
brain dead
good at it.
and brain dead to get them back.
Yeah, brain dead to get them back, brain dead to get them in there, dead to give haste. Has we've gotten such good attacking creatures recently, like black and red, just good value creatures. Like
Yeah, Tom, you can literally Buried Alive, Anger, the Dragon, and like something else, and then reanimate, and now you have haste because Anger's in the graveyard.
I don't know. Yeah, filth. Now he's unblockable. Player board. Game's over. See you later, Chief. But yeah, like the two games I watched with him, the people got handled because once the meld happened, it just made too much of a difference. Like it's just too many effects.
Also, the fact that I love that it comes in tapped and attacking when you meld,
Yeah,
and there's no like actual paying mana to do it. It just happens as a triggered. So I like that. I like that a lot.
yeah, it's good.
All right.
Uh, all right.
So Mishra, this is big Mishra. So at the beginning of combat on your turn, create a token that's a copy of a target creature artifact you control, except its name Mishra's War Form. It's a 4/4 contract artifact creature in addition to other types. It gains haste in a turn, sacrifice at the beginning of the next end step.
That
So you
seems.
just
That seems. I mean, so the okay. So the downside is it's only making a copy of one thing. But otherwise, I mean, that one thing can be really good. But the problem is, like, okay, so, like, what are we doing with this? I'm not really seeing it.
wait, it's let me see.
What's the colors again? Grixis?
Yeah,
And what's the mana cost? Is it 5?
yeah. Actually, I do. I think I see something. It's the beginning of combat on your turn. Create a token that's a copy of a target non-creature artifact you control. So you can make a copy of something like
But it's only once per turn in one thing. And yeah, you can copy triggers, but I mean, any commander can do that.
or you just this is another extra combat commander because every combat it's the beginning of combat you get a new copy.
I mean, yeah, you could do that for sure. It's in red. Yeah.
It's probably just another artifact shenanigan deck. In all honestly,
Probably just like a value things dying because, like, they stack
like
themselves, so.
you do sacrifice it. So like being okay, I'm gonna make a copy of like Ichor Wellspring or Spine of
Well,
Fish.
there's also that new stupid 9-drop that, like, is like
Yeah.
a triple. Oh my god, what's the creatures that we used to play? Like Merciless Executioner, right?
Yeah.
And it has a bot. What's the bot? Doesn't it do something else too? What's that new card I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about? Like the 9-drop colorless spell that just got printed. That like makes either a target opponent or someone else sack 3
Oh yeah,
creatures.
it's the Phyrexian something. Yeah, and then every upkeep you get to return a creature.
That's
from a
what the
graveyard.
yeah. That's what it did.
Yeah, it's like something to Phyrexia or Phyrexia coming
There's
or
some really good non-creature spells to copy in Grixis. Like, let's be fucking real. You can copy Rhystic Study until the end of turn. And is this a commander that you can sudden spoil and you keep them or no?
uh the creature creature gains it.
So I
So
mean,
I think if you
oh my
saw,
god, not sudden spoiling, sundial. Sorry.
yeah, because it says it gains haste until the end of the turn. Sacrifice.
Yeah. So you just end this. You just end the trigger.
Actually, I don't know. Yeah, because it says sacrifice at the beginning of the next end step. So the trigger goes on the stack.
And then you end the turn, and that's how you
Yeah,
make it so that it doesn't keep trying to trigger.
yeah, because it did do its trigger. So it misses its trigger, and then I don't think it'll try to trigger again because unless it gains sacrifice.
I know that there's some. I don't remember if it's like end of turn versus at the beginning of the end step. Shit, you know. I know that there was some like dumb ruling with the difference. Like end of turn, like keeps trying, or like I don't remember.
What was
Like
what's the dude that attacks that makes spirits, the 4/4s, angels or whatever?
oh, Geistis ain't trapped.
Yeah.
You see, he's into combat.
I'm just curious how it's worded because I know you get to keep it with him.
Well, yeah, I think it's anything that I might be wrong, but I believe that end of turn ones don't work. Just look up Obeka, right? Isn't that the one that is the commander, right? There might
Yeah,
be
yeah.
rulings for it. Here, I'm looking at it right now.
Okay, yeah. Just scroll down.
Ending the turn this way means the following things will happen in order. All spells and abilities on the stack are exiled. This includes spells and abilities that can't be countered. If there are any attacking and blocking creatures, they're removed from combat. That I didn't know. That's kind of cool.
Mhm.
The state-based actions are checked.
Oh, it's go down. It says if the turn ends with if the turn ends before the end step, any at the beginning of the next end step triggers won't get the chance to trigger with it.
But if you do it in response, right?
Yeah,
If
see, look,
any
it says at the
trigger,
very bottom, if the turn ends during the end step after at the beginning of the next end step, abilities have triggered, but before they've resolved, those abilities won't trigger again next turn.
so it does work then.
Yeah, so you actually
Yeah.
if you
So I was right, but it just depends on when you're ending the turn. So I was right and wrong. It's you have to be careful with those. So you can't just end the turn. So like, because there's probably some effects that like last till combat or like things that you have to do immediately. But
some
like,
of my things say like give it to the creature itself. Will say sacrifice exile gain
yeah,
exile this at the beginning of the next end step.
okay. So like, it's a sundial commander, but like, what else am I doing here? It's still I could still see it. Maybe like a B. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's like a B. I think it's pretty solid. There's enough really cool artifacts that you could do some nifty stuff with and making copies. Oh yeah, no, it's funny. I see those. Obeka is in the played cards for it.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah, like I said, whenever there's a commander that has a condition that things get sacrificed, you just play those always and abuse it. Okay, so this is one of the new young boys.
That's all right. That's Mishra Excavation
Yeah,
Project.
there's
The
then
thing
there's
that's
an Urza over here.
so it's haste, 1 mana tap, discard a card, draw a card. Where you discard one or more artifacts, you add 2 red. This ability only triggers once each turn.
Yeah, you see with the once each turn condition, that is very fair.
Yeah, because if it didn't say that, you could play like Faithless Looting and discard 2 artifacts, gain 4 red mana. Because it doesn't say whenever he discards. It's just whenever you discard, you don't have to activate the ability to do so. But it's only once per turn, so like it makes it very fair. But he's like, this is like another like D to C.
Yeah, because he can't be a dramatic reversal deck because he's only red, and discarding and drawing like is not real value, and like there's no good like discard value in these colors really. So like, yeah, I agree. I think the red one is definitely a D, but the blue one I think differently because it's in blue. So now there's different things you can do with blue.
So yeah, it's Urza Power Stone Prodigy, Vigilance, draw a card then discard a card, which is like it's funny the rummage and this is looting. Whenever you discard one or more artifact cards, create a tapped Power Stone token. This ability triggers once each turn. Now those tokens get to hang around. They get to do a little bit more.
And this
That's
is
compared-
draw and discard, which is 100 times better, and we're in an Ice-Cron Scepter territory. So I think this is like a B. And that's a D because of the colors and the having to discard first.
And it's got randomly vigilance for a 1/3 in case you really wanted to attack with your 3-mana 1/3.
And we're in blue, so that means we also get to play the things that when we draw, we get to draw extra. So it makes our commander a lot better.
It's still just like kind of okay. Like I
Yeah,
wouldn't say
but
it's
it's not bad though. Like you could play like
no.
you could play like a weird like reanimating artifacts from the graveyard or something. I don't know. There's stuff you could do there. I think it's
Yeah,
I think it's at worst B. Because it has Isochron combos. This one draws like this one can play Alhammerits, but blue has, 2 more that you can play on top of Alhammerits. So I think it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's solid B. Yeah, works for me.
And don't forget
Alright.
about those tokens. Like that, that's mana that gets to stick around. Like
And I guess you would be playing in an artifact-based deck because you have to discard an artifact.
and you
so
can use those tokens for Dramatic Reversal Isochron combo because it can be used for activated abilities. Power Stones can be used for that, and they'll constantly get untapped.
I forgot. I need to pick up a Cityscape Leveler too because it's just like
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, I picked up 2 of them. One went
Cause it's-
straight into Villas, and I took Sheoldred out for the 3rd time. Like the big one.
because it's like a meteor golem except it's huge. and
No,
it-
it's so much better. It's on cast and attack and has an earth.
yeah, I need to get one of those too.
Cast and attack. We know cast is so much better. And I don't care that I give them a Power Stone. Like, okay, they get mana they might be able to use.
And it's 1 mana, so it's like
Yeah.
we path creatures and we get
Yeah.
them land because getting rid of a problem is not as good as having something.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it can hit creatures, right? Can that one hit any permanent?
It says target non-land permanent.
Non-land.
So
Yeah,
land.
non-land. I think Meteor Golem said non-land too, right?
Yeah.
I always forget Meteor Golem can kill creatures too. It just feels wrong. Probably because I think of Terracodon a lot. Or
Yeah,
Thragtusk, whatever.
Green doesn't really
one
do
that-
so much with like killing other creatures.
Yeah. Okay, so here's another. Is this a
Is, um,
Mishra?
Yeah, the Tamer of Makfawa, which I'm guessing is like the dragon thing, because that was what it looks like in the background. Permanents you control have ward, sacrifice a permanent. So target any of your things your opponents have to sacrifice, which is pretty decent. And then each artifact card in your graveyard has unearth 3.
Ooh.
So it's unearth like red, black, colorless, which is
But like,
interesting.
not the. I mean, red is fine for artifacts, but blue is like the color you want to be in. But like, I could see some stuff here as like a fun artifact creature deck. We just got a ton of new artifact creatures this year too in black. Like, you could have a lot of fun with this, But I think it's another like B, right?
Yeah, because like unearthing means you lose them. So like unless you have some crazy shenanigans to do with them, like you're
Like a
just losing them right
sundial.
away. But like having just giving your permanents like that off the top is kind of cool. I will admit.
Okay, so I already know what this is, and I don't think this is an amazing commander.
Oh, this is the
better
white
than
one.
99. Yeah, this is the new Grand Abolisher.
Yeah, so it's during your turn, your opponents can't activate spells or activate abilities of artifacts, creatures, or enchantments. And whenever he attacks, you create X1/1 color soldier artifact creature tokens for X number of soldiers you control. So another soldier commander.
I mean, I guess it's at least like a C because it makes tokens.
It's a 3/4 for 4, so it is a little bit slower.
You only get white for
Oh.
soldiers. I'd say C.
Yeah.
Because
It's
like
just-
its effect as a card, it's an S, right? But the problem is, as a commander, it's a C.
yeah, I want this in my deck with a better commander.
Yeah.
All right. Next one, we got Queen Kyla Bingrug.
Oh, she's so. This is
4 mana tap.
So
Discard all the cards in your hand, then draw that many cards. You may choose an artifact or creature card with mana value 1 you discarded. this way. Then do the same for artifact, creature card with mana value 2 and 3. Return those cards to the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery. So you just play tribal 3 and less drops. And
This
you
could
just
be
hit
a fun new discard deck for you to build since you don't have Riel anymore. This one's kind of fun. This is like a more fair one. I mean, fair. I mean, you could do a lot of shit with this one.
It's definitely interesting. I wouldn't really wouldn't really know where to go with this one, but it says like you're just cheating out a bunch
I
of free
watched
things.
Jimmy play it, and he got so much advantage in the beginning that they killed him. Because I mean, you are playing because you are playing 3 things for free, and there is like some reanimation in white, and like getting to just wheel as well. Like I don't know, it was pretty good. It looked pretty good. Playing things for free in these colors is nice because these colors are not known for their ramp ability. I mean, like red can like ritual, but that's not like. And white gets slow lands. Like they ramp, but not ramp well. It's not perfect. Like they have the best ramp spell ever printed in Commander, which is Smothering Tithe. But you know, other than that, what do you think? I think this is an A or B.
Yeah, I would. Yeah. See, this is not my colors, and I'm trying to think of like what would I run that's like super crazy in this, and then I'm sad to say it, but it almost feels like you could run a bunch of really annoying stacks pieces, and you just use her to keep putting them into play.
Mm-hmm.
So it's cool. It's all right. I like it.
Yeah.
So
like a one-sided windfall.
I think I'd stick it around like Urza. I mean, the old like the uncommon Urza and Mishra.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we got Sanwell Avenger X or Ace Avenger. It's hard to read because of the old school font on this stupid thing. As long as an artifact creature you control is attacking, prevent all damage that we dealt to Sanwell Avenger Ace. Whenever he becomes tap, exile the top 6 cards of your library. You may cast a vehicle or artifact spell from among them. Put the rest of the bottom of your library in a random order. So you basically get the swing with artifacts.
Wait, does it cast it for free?
No.
You have to cast it?
Yeah.
Ugh. I don't know. How much mana is he?
2.
Okay, well, I mean, reasonable.
It's like another vehicle deck. Is kind of what I'm seeing. Like, it just wants to be another vehicle deck.
Which is like a C. White artifact decks are not. They're just not there. Teshar is the only freaking nature because her command, like that, her effect is, not like it just ended up being the most degenerate artifact commander of all time. One of them.
The next we have Taunos, Solemn Survivor. 2 mana, 1/3. 2 mana, tap, create a token that's a copy of up to 1 target artifact token you control, then mill 2 cards. And then Esper and tap. Sacrifice 2 artifact tokens, exile an artifact or a creature card from your graveyard. Create a token that's a copy of the exile card, except an artifact addition to its other types, activate only as a sorcery.
Well, this is like the best colors for artifact tokens. Then you get to play Marionette Master. You get some Fabricate stuff. You get like all the good blue-white token related stuff. This seems really good to me.
Sacrifice 2.
That bottom effect's really good because you can be like, all right, I'm gonna dump a Bolas of Citadel because Mike played this commander for a little bit. And you're like, oh, I'm gonna have Aetherflux Reservoir and Bolas of Citadel, and now it's harder for you to interact with it because I'm making a token copy from my graveyard. And even if you counter it, now I'm just gonna play it again.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah,
it's pretty good actually. I'd say B or A.
I still think I might stick him in B. He's a little bit slow for me. Mm-hmm. It's not like it's terrible, but it's a lot of mana to do a lot of things to our boy.
Yeah, our boy.
Thanos, the toy maker. Whenever you cast a beast, bird, or creature spell, you may copy it. Except the copy is an artifact in addition to its other types.
Mhm.
Period.
A or S.
I say just because of limitations of what you can be, it's maybe top of A. And when I don't know if I'd go full.
I don't know.
S.
You don't think Craterhoof's enough to make him an S in Simic?
Then every green deck is S.
Yeah, but
tier.
he makes a copy of it.
And if you're playing Creator Hoof, you're usually winning even if without the copy.
Right, but it's easier.
If it just had creatures, then bonkers. I would say.
Derek,
S
you
tier.
make a copy of Ledger Shredder. You make a copy of Dreamtail Hedron.
Like we are still a little bit
You
limited.
make a creature a bop.
It's very good. That's why.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's just like Crater. Yeah, Crater Roof is like the one big thing it does, and LD Gargi.
All right. Next we have the Mandrite, whatever. So it's 5 mana for Jeskai colors. At the beginning of your upkeep, you gain X life, where X is the number of cards in your hand, -4. Whenever you gain life, each advisor, artificer, and monk you control gains vigilance against +X/+0 until the end of your turn, where X is the amount of life you've gained. Tap 3 and tap advisors, artificers, and/or monks you control. Draw a card.
This seems really good.
It's such a weird tribe of mix that you have to go in there, but like we have a monk commander or an advisor commander. So we are in Jeskai colors, so like we could have a huge hand, and we're in Jeskai colors, so gaining life is a joke. Because it can be done in 10,000 different ways.
Yep.
You can also just gain life from him if you have like a full 7 in your hand. And then
Tribal's good with the blue and white.
And it's at your upkeep you gain life. So I was reading him at first, I'm like, this just seems kind of okay. Then I forget that Sarah Ascendant's a monk. And Grand Arbiter is an advisor.
Stop.
And Monastery Mentor is a monk that makes monks with prowess. And then we could play Alesha of the Infinite and Jeskai Ascendancy and roll with a thought. And then we could play a Chroma's Will and everybody dies. And we play Imperial Recruiter. And Ledger Shredder, because Ledger Shredder's an advisor.
Oh my god, the guy.
And then we could play Miku Kandu, the Truth Seeker. Take damage, you sacrifice a permanent because she's an advisor. And then we could play Unsettled Mariner and make it so it's really annoying to target it. And it seems pretty good. I think this low key might actually be up there in its power.
I think it's A.
You get to draw cards. You get to buff your boys, and you get to gain life. It's like 3 different effects that are like almost static just from playing it. And you also get to play Artificers. We don't forget that part too. So we can just like play some Artificers that grab some cool stuff. It does look like people really want to play it as a monk / advisor deck.
Yeah. Yeah, because monks have been underloved for sure.
Yeah, and like we would have a really good commander. And I think they've been trying to push monks into like, hey, draw extra cards, play extra spells. That's what makes it good.
Is Elsha the Infinite a monk?
Yeah.
Oh dear God. So
anyway, next is Titania, Nature's Force. So 6 mana, 6/6.
Is this the no? This is the meld one, right?
Yeah. This is the one you may play Forest from your graveyard. Whenever a forest enters a battlefield under your control, you get a 5/3 green elemental creature token. And whenever an elemental you control dies, you may mill 3 cards. It says you may mill 3 cards. So it's landfall 5/3, and you can play Forest from your graveyard.
But it has to be a forest, right?
Yeah.
Which I mean, for a mono green deck, I think that's fine. You'll have combos, 100%. It's like an easier to pull off version of like Titania of like the. I think it's fine.
Yeah.
Probably like an A. It's letting you cast them out of grave too, so you can play like weird lands that just sack things and make a lot of mana.
You play like Sylvan Safekeeper or Zernor.
Yeah. Like things that sack and just replaying to get landfall
Crop
triggers.
rotations. You play that new
Yeah.
creature that makes all your lands bait. I don't know. It says forest in particular.
Yeah,
It
but
doesn't
that's well, yeah, but you can play a Shia that makes everything a forest, right? And now your creatures are forests. Wait a minute, a that's only in play, right? Is it a Shia that I'm thinking of?
Yeah, it's only in play. It's only in play. I love a Shia.
Yeah, you control.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the only thing. Yeah, I don't think anything will
But
affect
that
that
does
creature.
mean that her effect, like her landfall effect, will work when creatures enter, though, because they are
Yeah.
forests.
And it's also they're not 3/3s; they're 5/3s.
Yeah, that's a lot for a landfall ability. That's like the highest that you can make.
Yeah, so like you could do like I'm gonna tutor 2 lands into play. I just put 10 power into play.
Yeah, like Rampaging Baloth's is 6-drop and only makes 4/4, so.
And we play that anyway because it's like,
Yeah.
hey, 4/4s are good.
Yeah, that's a lot of damage.
That's a lot of damage.
That's a lot of damage. All right, here's the meld one.
I just want to check real quick if there's any like random things that
Okay, you want to look at this
that
one?
matters. Is
Oh, we're agreeing that it's A, right?
yeah.
Okay.
Tom, Tom, is the Sylvan Dryad a? It is a forest.
It's a forest, so you can. Oh, right. I think Mike was telling me about this with Dryad Arbor. There's like combos with that because it's a forest. Yeah.
And it's a creature, so like you get like
you can sack it and do like stupid shit with that. Yeah.
Oh, this may be a good deck finally for Lotus Field because you can sack lands to put into play, and then you get to replay them. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, somebody was telling me about Dryad Arbor in that deck. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking about it for a second. Like, does that work? And I'm like, oh wait. All right, so what's next? Oh, it's the meld.
This is the meld one, and the land is actually really good. Her land is very good. So people should just play it.
Yeah, so she's at 3/4 reach. Whenever one or more land cards are put into your graveyard from anywhere, you gain 2 life. At the beginning of your upkeep, if there are 4 more lands in your graveyard, and you both own and control Titania, Voice of Gaia, and the land name Hargoth Sanctum of Nature, exile them and meld them into Titania, Gaia's Incarnate. The other land, the Gaia thing is, it enters the battlefield tap unless you control a legendary green creature. And for 4 mana, it makes a 2/2 green bear creature, and then mill 3 cards. Activate only as a sorcery. And Titania Incarnate is Vigilance, Reach, Trample, and Haste. Titania Gaia's Incarnate's power and toughness are equal to the number of lands you control. Whenever she enters the battlefield, return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. And for 4 mana, you put 4+1 counters on target land you control. It becomes a 0/0 creature with haste that is still a land. And a very interesting thing about how it's worded, a lot of times it says put it on a target non-creature land you control. So you could keep buffing up the same land over and over again with this ability.
Wait, is she attack like she does it when she attacks too?
No. They only puts the four counters on for 4 mana.
It's an activated ability.
Yeah, so
is it a tap?
Nope.
Oh, that's pretty good then.
So 4 mana. So you think about like how much mana you had if you like had 4 lands in graveyard for Titania, and you've also probably played some ramp spells.
But Derek, however will you tutor a land in green that you need?
Oh, you're right. Okay, trash.
She's clearly D. If we had an F tier, she'd be F for that fat ass.
Yeah, I will admit Titania herself is decent. I think she's just Vigilance, Reach, Trample, and Haste is pretty strong, and she's probably could get really big.
The life gain's whatever. I only like life gain when it's like stacked on another good effect, like how Tatiova is kind of works, or like Extort. You know, like you're not like it. It's got like you're hurting them and plus taking some. Like I like it when it's like just randomly on a card, like the Great Henge, right? Like people don't play the Great Henge because it gains 2 life.
The Great Henge is still like $50.
Jesus. But yeah, like mono green landfall, pretty strong when you flip the commander. Probably the weakest out of the meld that came out in this set.
I agree. She's definitely the weakest out of all.
And I think she's worse than this. I
Yeah,
think she's like a top of B.
I kind of agree.
Because you know how we think about animating lands.
Hmm.
We're not a huge fan of animating lands.
Nah. All right, what we got next?
See, when they're animating things like Zerv, right? The most recent Zerv, right? He's
Hmm.
probably one of the only ones that I've ever liked that animates things because he gives it like indestructible and like, isn't it like indestructible, death touch, and something else like lifelink, right?
Sure, something like that.
Something like that. But all right, so now we got this lady. I don't remember what it is.
So that is that's
She's also an artificer.
Yeah, Takasai Dig Site Mentor. She's Bant colors 4/3. Creatures you control have vigilance and have tap surveil 1.
Ugh.
And then for 1, 2, 3, 4, so for 8 mana of 2 of each Sultai and 2 generic, you uh exile her from your graveyard. Return any number of target artifact cards with a total mana value 10 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery.
What's her colors?
Bant.
Well, I mean, Azurius is really good with artifacts. And getting to surveil on all your creatures, and it doesn't say non-token, right?
No, so I think it's just that you want to surveil a bunch of stuff into your tenor value into your graveyard, and then you want her to die, and then exile her, and then you get all those back.
Green and blue is pretty good at milling yourself. Like green has dredge, and then like blue has like just self mill cards. Like it's very easy to use this commander, and then she just goes back to the command zone. Getting
Yeah.
to surveil is nice. I mean, the green makes it so you can get stuff back easily. It seems pretty good to me. Not insanely strong. There's probably just some way to win there. But the problem is you're not black. So like you don't have a perfect way to put things in your graveyard. Like the best ways I can think of are like intuition or like gifts ungiven or like, well, no, intuition. Then there's the one that tutors for lands that they go to the graveyard. And then yeah, there's not a lot of ways to just put something from your deck into your graveyard in these colors, you know? So like
Mhm.
you have to get kind of lucky. So there is ways to put things on the top though and then mill. Like you could be like worldly tutor Thassa's Oracle and something else that wins me the game, you know? Or however you're going to win, I don't know. And then you dump it that way because all your creatures have surveil. So like there's probably something there. This is definitely like an A or B for me.
Yeah, I still think maybe B, just because it requires a lot of setup and a lot of digging to get its effect to kind of do what she wanted to do.
Yeah, missing the black is hurting it a lot.
And like for all that time you spent surveilling and putting into your graveyard and then having her die and then paying all that to get them all back, you could have just probably drawn that many cards and played that many cards.
Yeah, because Bant is just, strong. So,
Yeah.
like, you could just be doing Bant things.
Like you could have like 10 million cards in your hand and just be casting them.
So she is a payoff for, like, Isochron Scepter, too, though, right? Because you just, like, mill your entire library and do something, I guess?
I guess because it gives all your creatures surveil, so you just like have all of them keep tapping and dumping stuff into the graveyard until you're like you don't need to anymore.
Mhm. But there's not, like, a lot of free ways to cast things from the graveyard in these colors, like, like, some of the, like, Narcomoeba, Prized Amalgam kind of stuff. But actually, Prized Amalgam's not in these colors. But, like, I don't know. What do you think?
I'd stick her somewhere in B. I think she's good, but I wouldn't say like she's like really really good.
I agree.
So this is the one Urza Commander deck Urza. So affinity for artifact creatures. The 5/4 artifact creatures you control have menace. At the beginning of your end step, you create a construct. It gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. So yeah, it makes constructs at the end of each of your turn in Esper colors. I played against this deck, and I board wiped it almost every turn and almost every other turn because of just the other artifacts in play. It was putting multiple lethal threats into play. And it just also just makes a construct that was like a 12/12 every
Yeah,
single turn.
it seems like a strong B to me.
And then it gives it menace, which is super annoying.
It seems like a strong B to me. What's the colors?
Esper.
Yeah, I'd say B. Easy to cast. What's his mana value? Like, how much is he?
He is 6, but he's affinity for
Yeah,
artifact
so yeah,
creatures.
6 means nothing.
So he also means that like if he dies, it's super easy to get him back.
Uh huh.
Yeah, he's super annoying.
I'd still say B.
Yeah, true. Like he's not breaking the game, and he's not like doing like
Well,
other Urza stuff.
Speaking of breaking the game, these
Yeah.
two.
So speaking
Yeah.
of the other one, so
Here.
this Urza, Jesus. So he's a 3-drop 2/4 artifact, instant, and sorcery spells cost 1 less to cast. I love it. 7 mana. If you both own and control Urza, Lord Protector, and an artifact named the Might Stone and Meek Stone, exile them and meld into Urza Planewalker, activating with sorcery. The Might Stone, Meek Stone is a 5-drop that enters the battlefield. You choose 2. No, choose 1. Draw 2 cards. Target creature gets -5/-5 at the end of the turn. And then
Which are both good effects.
And then it has tap, add 2 colorless. This mana can't be spent to cast non-artifact spells.
Yeah,
so
it's got the Power Stone effect. Yeah.
And then Urza Planeswalker. Also, can I talk about how in the decks that people have made that the Might Stone, Meek Stone is only in 98% of the decks, not 100%? What?
Dick bags.
Someone's like, I'm building an instant sorcery deck. I don't need that trash. Get out of here. And so his other side. So you may have. You may activate the ability of Urza the Planeswalker each turn, twice each turn rather than once. What? There's
yeah, did you not read that part?
No, I know that part, and I'm like saying, hey, if you have other things that
like Oath at the Ferry.
Yeah.
How does Oath at the Ferry work with that?
It says that you can activate them as if they weren't activated. I think. Let me check how that's worded.
And the Chain Veil?
It gives you another activation, I think. The Chain Veil says, for each play walker you control, you may activate one of its loyalty abilities once this turn, but and it's to open to Fairy. I just want to see how this is worded. You may activate the loyalty abilities of planeswalkers you control twice each turn rather than only once. Okay.
So let it activate 3 times.
Yeah. So, anyway, so his +2 artifacts, instant, and sorcery spells you cast this turn cost 2 less to cast. You gain 2 life, which is pretty good for a +2. He's at 7, so that puts him up to 9 right off the bat. Then it's +1 is draw 2 cards, then discard a card, which is still pretty good. 0 is create 2 1/1 color soldier artifact creature tokens. That one's okay. So I guess it makes like defenders for him. -3 is exile target non-land permanent. Oh, and -10. Artifacts and planeswalkers you control gain indestructibility to the end of the turn. Destroy all non-land permanents. Which he could activate the next turn because you could go +2, +1. So you get to draw 2 cards. Or actually, you could do is you could go, I'm going to draw 2 cards and 0 and make blockers.
So this color tutors this artifact very easily and can recur it very easily. So this is another pairing where the colors that they did for this commander are perfect. And the artifact is not bad. Like the other creature, it's not bad. Like getting to draw 2 cards or kill something is pretty good. And then it makes mana. And you're probably mostly going to be playing artifacts anyway. And if you do get to flip into the walker, like it's very, very strong. And on top of all that, he's one of the best dramatic reversal Sensei's top combo commanders that we've gotten.
Oh yeah, because it's 0 to cast.
Yep.
Top. And then also because you're playing all your interaction spells all cost less with him in play too. So like now you're like even making it easier to protect them. It makes all the artifact tutors cost less. Like, hey, Fabricate's only a 2-drop now. And I'm gonna fabricate the Might Stone.
Yeah. Seems good to me.
Mm-hmm.
Is it up with his brother though? Here's my thing.
Yeah.
Here's my thing though. My argument to why I think it's A is the reason why I think Mishra is better is because he can do his effect like 5 times a turn because extra combats. This is only happening 3 to 4 times, and that's if you have Oath and Chain Veil.
Well, I don't think you need to run those. I think with the double activations, he's good enough on his own.
Oh, I agree. I wouldn't even run Chain Veil and Oath of Teferi. But I think because of that sheer fact that it's just twice, that just makes him slightly under being an S tier. And the fact that he can be killed, I mean, like, they could both be killed easily, but he could just be attacked.
But he also just kills things that he wants to, and he get to kill 2 things right off the
Oh,
bat.
no, I know. Like, the effect is game winnable. Getting to draw 4 cards and discard 2, like, all of the effects are good. All of them are slamming. Like, I love every single effect on the card.
And then you can also you're also just playing a good artifact deck. And
and you have a combo. You have a combo.
Reducer right off the bat.
You know what? Actually, with the Sensei's top thing, I think he's S tier.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's really easy to assemble. Even if you don't care about doing the meld part, you just need... So this is the inverse of what we've seen, where we have the thing that lets us cast off the top, as where this is the mana reducer, which is a little bit better because we get to the thing that is going to let us play off the top easier.
Yeah, Tom, we just also tutor Reality Chip and Reality Chip.
Reality Chip. There's
cost only 1 blue mana now to play.
Yeah.
And now we have top Sensei's Loop.
Yeah, we have Reality Chip. There's the colorless one, Mystic Forge, right? Is that what it's called?
Yep, Mystic Forge.
There's Future Sight. They just printed that new broken ass card, one with the multiverse. Do you know that card?
Yeah, and then we play Tezzeret, Word of Invention, Reshape. There's 3 things that are like instantly
a billion artifact tuners. White's got artifact tuners. Like, it's very, very easy to assemble this combo. Then you just have Aetherflux Reservoir, Walking Ballista, whatever way you want to win, you choose.
Yeah, because the thing is, we're just gonna draw a whole deck, so you're just gonna find it anyway.
Yeah, you're gonna figure out how you're gonna win. Thassa's Oracle, whatever you want to do. It's got the colors for it.
And then all in the meantime, while you're trying to assemble your combo, your instant and sorcery spells or your counter spells and removal spells all cost less now.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like also making that happen. He's a brawl and with plus.
It's really good.
So we have one last card to do.
Yeah.
Which is the other Urza. So he's a 4 mana 2/3 artifact creatures you control get +2/+2. And for 6 mana, you create a token that's a copy of a target artifact you control, except it's a 1/1 soldier in addition to its other types.
So good. So he buffs the 1/1s to make them 3/3s, and then he just makes a copy of anything without tapping. That's so good. That's so good.
So he just makes copies of artifacts, and there's some really good artifacts to copy.
And think about things that make tokens when they enter. He's Azurius, right? He's blue-white again?
Yeah.
You play Mirror Battlesphere with I don't know, Ironworks or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's probably a ton of infinites you could do with this.
Yeah, if you have a training ground that makes it cost 2 less.
Uh-huh.
And you just you make a copy of Mirror Battlesphere.
Yeah, I just said that. Yeah, Mirror Battlesphere.
Or he'll
think of it this way, right? In these colors, there's good artifacts that just do things when they enter too. So you could just sit there with mana up, right? And just use his effect as you see fit. You could just make a copy of something. It's almost like Rune, right? Where Rune activates and you can use him off your turn. It's like that. You just get to do it when you feel like it. You can make a copy of something that exiles an enchantment or destroys an artifact or enchantment or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It seems really good to me. You could pay 6, make a copy. We were just talking about Thought Monitor before. Like a Torrential Gear Hulk. Now you have a Snapcaster Mage whenever you feel like it.
Oh, I even think about these artifact creature based decks. We also could run Tempered Steel that gives artifact creatures another +2/+2. So he could be realistically making 5/5s.
Yeah, or you play Master of Ethereum, or you play the creatures like Foundry, Chief of Foundry and Master of Ethereum that also buff them, and you make copies of them.
Tom, you ready for this? You ready for this one? You play Liquid Metal Torque.
Oh my god! Now we can make copies of anything!
Or you play Microsoft Lettuce.
Yeah, see, a lot of these decks want to play Microsoft Lettuce. This whole set Like, if you think of everything that we talked about, like, a lot of these commanders, especially this one too, like, want Microsoft Lettuce. Also,
Oh, you know,
this commander right here is like an A plus for me. If we had like an in between, this one's like, I can see this commander being S. I have to be honest with you, right? It's just, it's just like, I don't know. I could see this one like borderlining S, you know?
Tom, I like making by with the Urza deck, and with that dude, I like making copies of like duplicate.
This is S, right?
I think so. I
Getting
think
to
just get
getting to use stuff off your turn, and the fact that like you can make copies of things that make tokens, or like it just seems like a really powerful effect. And you
and then
just get the
also
upside of just killing people.
yeah, and then also because the things that you're making copies of, like we also get to run Annoyed per session, and we get like extra copies.
Yes. Song of the World song, which we can't stop pushing enough.
hmm
Now we're populating copies of Mere Battlespheres or whatever.
Yeah, I also like that. Yeah, like I think Mirror Battlesphere with like an Ironworks and like you just
Or Ashnod's, because it's a creature still, so.
Mhm.
Any of them. Any of them that does that. Mere Battlesphere makes 4, right? 7? How many does it make?
No, so it makes I think it makes four, so it
4,
makes
right? That's
it makes
5. So that's
it makes
10 mana.
yep.
So you can do it twice. So yeah,
Well, you
that's
don't
100% infinite.
well no, you don't target it. So you eat up all the tokens and then target the Mirror Battlesphere.
Yeah,
make it,
which is
yeah,
8.
eat up all the
Yeah,
tokens.
and you make 3.
So you actually you always leave one token left, so you can make infinite Mirror Battlespheres
Yeah.
and have infinite mana.
By the way, Mirror Battlesphere has a second effect.
Yeah,
That
that
can
just kills
attack.
you. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Derek, you know what that means? At a point you get to start keeping the tokens too. Because once you make infinite mana, then you could just keep using the commander's effect. That's another thing we're not thinking about, is the fact that this commander, if it's like a dramatic reversal or whatever like way to make infinite mana you want to play in this commander, it could just make infinite copies as something in play. Like a thought monitor or something that lets you draw or kill something or gains life, or I don't know, makes an opponent draw, or like, you know, kills them, like whatever.
Or you make an infinite spear of issues and
Make
destroy
an
it. Turn
infinite
into-
dramatic reversal, or Icecross scepters, and then you get to put infinite spell. I don't know, whatever. You know what I mean? He seems really strong.
Oh, wait. Yeah, Tom, we play that Microsoft lettuce, and then we play a smothering tide and just make infinite.
You know,
of
you know,
Smothering Tide.
thinking, you know, talking about all that we're talking about, I think that pushes this guy up. He just seems too good to me. He just doesn't feel like, he feels like A plus, and I don't want to like have him down there, because comparing him to these, like this commander can win in a turn. You know, and I
Mhm.
don't think any of these commanders can do that. A sub, maybe this one. Because there's a ton of infinites in green with Landfall shenanigans. She is also probably like an A plus, and these are definitely strong A's.
I just don't think she can win instantly.
No,
unless
no,
I keep
not at
winning.
all. No, not at all. No.
But those
She
other
takes
dudes,
time.
though,
Yeah, she takes time. And there's only 2 bounce lands you can play in green, right? There's is
yeah.
there a mono green one, or does there exist like a land in every color? Like, is there like a monocolored land in every color, or is that just like?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
But I know there's the colorless one that they
You know,
printed.
I just had an idea. I had an idea. So you know the Archmandrite, the human advisor thing. I
This
was
thing?
just thinking about that thing. Jeskai Ascendancy. So you tap them all, draw some cards, you
Oh,
play a
God.
spell, get to untap them all.
Holy shit. That's pretty good.
Is this another dramatic reversal deck too? Because you tap all of them to draw a bunch of cards. I guess you don't really make mana unless you have something that convokes them. I don't know. There's a lot of really cool things up here.
Yeah.
They do lots of stuffs, Tom.
It's always good to see some beast love, you know?
Some Beastie Boys.
Yes. But I do think Mishra is the best one because of the fact that he can have extra combats, and it's easy as hell. And there are some really insane attack abilities and enter the battlefield abilities in red and black. Gaining life, you get to be reckless, extra combats, you get to use them multiple times. Like, it just sounds fucking insane. All right, This looks good to me. Unless you have anything else you want to say.
No, I think it's pretty good. There's some I didn't really look too hard. I will admit we've been so flooded in the market. Like I haven't really spent a lot of time hardcore looking at cards.
Hmm.
So, like some of the cards effects I had to really think about a bit more. I'm like, oh, that kind of surprised me. Besides ones that jumped at me right at the bat, like the Taunos, the toy maker.
Hmm.